Hi boys and girls, I'm Rosemary, and today I'm going to be walking you through painting this cute little Pudgy Owl Bank. It is a bank and you do have a stopper in the bottom. I've taken mine out. Make sure you take that stopper out before you start painting. They're a little difficult sometimes to pull out, so if you have someone there to help you, that would be great. Okay, before we get started, I know you have your kits, those of you who pick them up at the libraries. But make sure that you have a water bowl handy, a covered table. You don't want to damage anything that you're working on. I sometimes put a towel underneath when I'm working, and then I put paper towels or something on top of it. And so if you drop it, it kind of softens the blow of, from breaking the piece. So I have a palette because I don't have the little pods that you have. So get yourself a palette. Good idea. Cover them in foil if you have a palette, because then you don't have to keep washing the palettes. You just throw the piece of foil away, and that works really great. So when I paint, I start with the lightest color. So there's not many colors on this piece, and in your little strips I might have given you extra color so you can do whatever you would like to do. But I start with the white on here, and then I paint the rest of it in the brown. The other colors go on top of the brown, the black, the white, and the mustard color. So we'll start with the white, and we'll paint a nice smooth coat. Now don't scoop up paint and put excess paint on your piece. Put a little bit of paint and pull it out as far as it will go until your brush is dry, and then you dip for more paint. If you have too much paint in your brush and there's nowhere to spread it, it's going to stay wet and it will never dry. Dries immediately if you put it on properly. A lot of the people want to put on globs of paint, and that's not the way you should work. You should work with a little bit of paint in your brush and spread it out so there's no ridges. See how I keep going back and forth? No ridges in the paint. I start in the middle area and then I work my way to the edge, so that when I first put my brush down, if I have a lot of paint in the brush, I don't want it to bleed onto the areas I don't want it to go into. So I start away from the edge, and then when there's a little bit less in my brush, I work toward the edge. And then smooth it. Turn your brush over. Use both sides of your brush because you have paint on both sides. I don't know if you could see that accumulating now. You could see the difference in the color of the bisque versus the white. People do ask me, why do I have to paint that white? You have to, because the bisque is a different color. And now I'm using new slip, and it doesn't have any talc in it anymore, and the color of the slip is again different. So I'm just working with that for the first time. So you're always going to have change in life, and you just have to adjust. So again, paint the area white, even though it is white, because you never know what color slip you're going to be getting, what color bisque you're going to be getting. And also too, if you leave it, it's porous and it will absorb, dirt. If you wanted to spray it or seal it, you really can't do that just on the bisque. You need to do that on top of an acrylic stain. Okay, so I put that on there. I mean, you can do 2 coats if you want, but for teaching purposes, 1 coat is enough. Don't bang your brushes on the bottom of bowls. I tell you this every time. Swish them. Okay, and always dry your brush on a paper towel before you go into the next color. So now I'm going to be doing the brown. I'm going to do the brown on everything, including the eyes, including the nose. I have the brown underneath that mustard color. Okay, so you can do the brown on everything else that there is there. So I'm going to start with the eyes. Now you can put a little bit extra paint in your brush because you have a big area to spread it in. Now you also have a small brush that you can use to do edging. So I'm going to be doing the big area first, and then I'll take my smaller brush and do some edging. I don't think I have my smaller brush here. I'll have to go get it. Okay. I'll just have to wing it with the bigger brush. But you have 2 brushes, and you should be able to do your edging with a smaller brush. So you see how I'm staying away from the edges right now? And I'll go back and do that with the smaller brush later on. If you have a bigger brush, if you have other brushes, you can use them. But I do find when the children use bigger brushes, they get more paint and it goes on too heavy and then it doesn't dry. So I prefer working with a medium size to a small brush. Okay, nice and smooth. This will take me a few minutes, so you have the option of always pausing my video here on YouTube and catching up and then putting it back on again. Now, I always want to thank everybody for watching these videos and for picking up the kits at the libraries, those of you who are local. And I would appreciate if, when you're finished watching this video, if any of you would be willing to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would be very happy with that. It doesn't cost anything. I don't even know if you get notices when I place a new video. You may get a notice. I have to ask someone. I don't even know that. I think that's all it is that you would get a notice when I post a new video if you're subscribed. But I can be wrong. I have to check that one out. Okay, so I'm getting around, see? I'm nice and smooth, and always do your bottom. Underneath should always be painted. I was taught a long time ago that nothing is completely finished unless everything is painted. And you don't have to paint inside because it's a bank and you really can't get in there anyway. And if the color looks wishy-washy, kind of do a second coat at the same time you're doing the first. Like I'll move forward and then I'll go back and touch up where I think it looks light. You don't have to touch up around the eyes again because you're going to be putting some other colors on there. But some of these other areas with the brown, I just go back and do a second coat. No white spots. Okay, that's the whole idea. I do most of my pieces, especially for the children, we base coat in a color so that there's no white, and all the other colors are put on top of the base coat. See, now this is dry already that I can hold it. If it's wet, when you go away from it and you go to dip for more paint, that means you haven't pulled it out enough. So go back and pull your color out if it's wet. And that means pull it into a dry area. Pull it into, if you still have white showing, pull it into the white bisque area. I keep spreading it until I run out of paint in that brush. Okay. And I'm doing underneath. Nice and smooth. You don't want ridges in your paint. If you're getting ridges, go back and pull them out. There's a little tail area in the back here also, and you can, I didn't do it on this one, but you can, I'll show you, you can dry brush a little bit of black back in there too, or the white, either one. Now I also went over, you actually don't have to go over his toes, his claws, because they're going to be black. So you don't have to do them in the brown. If you did, it's fine. Black covers everything. I'm going to try to edge with my bigger brush, but you should use your little brush to edge. You probably went out of the lines there a little bit already. If you go out of the lines, this is important. If you go out of the lines, don't try to cover it while it's wet. You wait for that to dry, you take your smaller brush, and you go back over it with the white if you went out of the lines. Okay? You might need a couple of coats, but everything is fixable. Okay, almost done, but take your time. You don't have to rush it like I am. Okay, I just have to edge. So now that's a little lumpy right there, so I'm going to go back and I pull it out. Make sure I get all the wet brush strokes, even them out. Okay, got that one side done. Yeah, but use your little brush to edge. Don't do what I'm doing. Okay. Not too bad, even though I use the big brush, not too bad. I have a little on the side that I would probably touch up. So again, swish your brush in the water and dry it. Now I'm going to go back to the white now, because once I put the black in my brush, it really is hard to get out until you go to the sink and wash it with soap and water. So I'm going to do the white. I'm going to dry brush the white around the eye. So I pick up just a little bit. You have this brush. I'm going to use the same brush that you have. You have a little bit of white in your brush, and then work it into the hairs of the brush gently so that there's not a lot in the brush. And you see there's grooves on the eye area. Go the opposite way, like you're going to form a halo around his eye. Okay. See what I'm doing there? A little halo around his eye. Again, I put a drop of the white in the brush, take some of it out of the brush because I don't want a lot. I don't want it to fill in the brown crevices. I want to keep those crevices. This one could be a little whiter, so this one is pretty dark, so I can go around and flip some white onto the edges, because I might have had some brown in my brush when I did this one. I'm going to show you what a difference it makes. See, now that one I put a little white around the edge. All right, so you can do that. So first go around in a circle, and then you can come up from the edge and flip the color in. Now I have some on the beak, but it's not really going to matter, okay? See, that's much better. I like this one better that has a little brown in it, and I probably used a different brush, so let's try this one. This eye. See how I go around now? And we're going to put black on that inner part, so don't worry too much. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of brown in my brush and darken that in a circle like I have it on my sample here. See, I darken that a little bit with a little bit of brown. And I darken that one with a little bit of brown. Now I'm going to go back to the white. I'm going to flip the white in from the edge. Okay, so I flip the white. So I like this eye better than this eye. This eye has a lot more white on it. So this one I have a little brown in the brush with the white, and I did the circle going around, and then I took just white and flipped it in from the edge. And I might as well make this guy even. And this is what I mean about flipping it in from the edge. You put your brush down on the edge of his eye and work it in toward the center. You don't go all the way in, you just kind of flip it. That means lay your brush on the edge and just flip with just very little paint in your brush. Okay, so that's better now too. See the little white around his eyes? And this one, okay? So now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna rinse the brush out again. And I'm gonna do the same thing with black on the edges of his wings and his horns, and maybe a little bit on the tail and the back too. So I only need a little bit, so I'm gonna just work out of the cap. A little bit of paint in the brush, and we always flip in toward the center. So you come here and you just flip. See what I'm doing there? You flip in, and then you turn it upside down and you flip in this way. Okay, got that? And then I'm going to do the same thing on here. I need a little more black in my brush. My brush was wet, so this is really a dry brush technique. And if you have dry brushing brushes, any of you adults out there, you can use a dry brushing brush to do this. So flip it toward the center and then turn it upside down and flip in also. You always do both sides. So flip in, one more black. And turn it over and flip in. Okay, and I mean, you could perfect it by going back and doing a little bit more also. And then back here, if you want, you can go against the grain and always flip in toward the center, come from the outer edge and come in, outer edge and come in, and I put a little bit on the back, which I don't have on that one. Okay, now if you want, I don't remember what colors I gave you, you could draw flowers on him. You could do whatever you want. You could do polka dots, and if you want to do polka dots, you do them with the back end of the brush, with the handle of the brush, you make polka dots. Just remember, polka dots stay wet for a very long time, so if you're doing any polka dots, just make sure that you don't touch it after you do the dots. Now, while I have the black out, I'm going to take the handle of the brush and do his eye. So if you don't have black, I don't remember if I gave you black or not. If you don't have black, you use a marker. A marker works just fine. Okay, but I have the black here, and I'm just going to put it down, and I'm going to circle it a little bit just to make it a little larger. See what I did there? Put the brush down and circle it. Okay, and I have two black eyes. Now on this one I have a little white dot, but I would do that after it dries. Okay, so I believe we're done with the black, and we have to go do the mustard. I'm just going to get up 1 second and see what happened to my little brush. I know I took a little brush. Okay, here it is. And I'm going to do a little bit of mustard on the beak. So use your little brush. It's not the same as this one, but use your little brush. You have one to do the mustard on the beak. And that you're just painting in. You might need 2 coats, but don't put it on heavy because you don't have anywhere to spread it. This is a very small area you're doing right now. Oh, I forgot to do his feet in the black. I just realized that. We have to do that too. So let that dry. I'll let that dry, his beak. And I'll go back with the black. And do his little tootsies. Okay, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so 3 on either side, like there. Okay. Don't put a lot of paint in your brush because you're working in a small area. And what I do when I do this is I put my brush down and then I form a curve, like so, curve. Do it here. Go up and form a little arc so that they look like they're round instead of just straight across. Okay, and then just go down and fill them in. Okay, now I didn't get to the bottom. Oh, got the wrong color in my brush. I didn't get to the bottom. Don't forget to do the bottom. Now you can take your time. Mine is not as neat as yours should be. Take your time. Nobody's rushing you. And just remember, you're the artist. I always tell everyone that you're the artist. If you want to do something different, that's up to you. Okay, got that in there. I hope. Oh, I missed one of his toes over here. I noticed it when I looked at the screen. Okay, got his other toe. All right, now, if you wanted to do some flowers or anything on his back, I'm going to kind of do something on here so you can see. His feet are a little wet yet. Like I said, polka dots you would do with the back end of the brush. I'm going to do it in the mustard. Just dip the brush, the handle of the brush, and you can do like a 3-dot design, like so. You could do something like that. I use a lot of dots on pieces of samples because they're easy for people to do. The other thing you can do is you can take your small brush and you could draw some flowers. Okay, you could do something like that, draw some flowers. And then you could take your handle of your brush again, and you could do a center, okay, in another color. So you could play around and do whatever you would like to do. I'll show you how to do a heart. Want to see how to do a heart? A heart is really easy. You do, with the back end of the brush, you do 2 dots, just almost touching or just about touching, and then you just pull the handle down, and you have a heart. I'll do it again. You do 2 dots. I'm running out of white. Try to make it a little bigger so you can see it. See those 2 dots just about touching right there? Then just don't put any more paint in the handle. Just pull the handle down to a point, and it makes a heart. Okay, nice and easy. So you can decorate this piece however you like, and if you're more creative, go for it. All right? There's no right or wrong in doing any of these pieces. It's up to what you like and what you want to do. Okay, and then if you want also, you can take that little brush, and once the black in the eye is dry, I always feel like this is a reflection of light. If you look at our eyes or someone else's eyes that's there near you, if you look at them, you will see a reflection of light in our eyes. So that little white dot is the reflection of light, and it just makes them come alive, makes it come alive. So, okay, that's the little owl bank. Don't forget to put the stopper back in and save you money for a rainy day. Whenever you have anybody give you any money, you could save it in this cute little bank, and then you could put the stopper back in. Someone can help you put the stopper back in. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you subscribe like I said, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you.